primarily have the J1 marker because of their community. Say, for example, the Babylonian community. The Babylonian community has been together for over 2,500 years. So their markers that they have is encouraging for people to research, and they have the J1 marker primarily, and they have Judeo-Arabic as a language because they actually had a language that was repleted with Hebrew. And to prove my point on that, let me put this on the screen so people don't think I'm talking out my ass. Let me put this on the screen for the family so that we could all read it together and see I'm not bullshitting. Where they at? Hold on there 1 second. As a matter of fact, hold on 1 second. Let me put this on the screen right here. Remember earlier I mentioned that where the Jews went, where they went, the Iberian Jew, the Spanish and Portuguese Jews, expulsion from Spain and Portugal led to migrations to these countries. So you see the countries that they went to: Netherlands, France, Italy, England, Brazil, Suriname, Curacao, Santo Domingo, Jamaica, Barbados, French Guinea, Haiti, Uruguay. All these islands they went to because guess why? They could worship in these countries, most of them. This is why they helped the British to defeat the Spanish in Jamaica. Jamaicans would be speaking Spanish right now if it wasn't for the Jews, because they couldn't practice Judaism around the Spanish. So they helped the British to overthrow the Spanish in Jamaica in 1655. Did you know that, Mika? Mika probably not listening.
No, I didn't know that. I'm learning.
Yeah. The island was called Isla de Santiago before it was called Jamaica. But Jamaica is the English traditional and indigenous name for it. But when Spanish occupation, it was called the Isla de Santiago. That's why even in Jamaican patois or English or Jamaican English, a lot of the grammar is Spanish. You know what I'm saying? The grammar base is Spanish.
Yep. It's all facts. All right, here we go. I always talk about this right here. I bring this up a lot. People don't like it. It's called Iraq's Last Jews: Stories of Daily Life Upheaval and Escape from Modern Babylon. And if you look at this right here, let me make this smaller so everybody could read it. The American Sephardic Federation is proud to sponsor the publication of the important book, a historic series of first-hand recollections from some of the last members of the now vanished Babylonian Jewish community in Iraq. Very interesting. Look at what it says here. Iraq, as it is called today, was the home of the ancient civilizations of Sumer, Assyria, and Babylonia. It was known by the Greeks as Mesopotamia, meaning the land between two rivers, the Tigris and the Euphrates. So remember, they used to be called beyond the rivers, beyond the river Euphrates. That's what they used to describe where the Jews were who were taken by the Assyrians, by the Jews of Babylonia. In 597 BC, king of Babylonia invaded the kingdom of Judah and brought back his Jewish king Jehoiakim with 10,000 of his subjects to Babylon. 11 years later, after Nebuchadnezzar's destruction of the first temple, he brought 40,000 Jewish captives to his capital in Babylon, 90 kilometers south of modern-day Baghdad. The Jewish captivity ended when the Persian king Cyrus occupied Babylonia in 530 BC and allowed the Jews to return back to their land. Some returned, but many stayed. Over its 2,500 years of existence, see, I didn't make it up, the Iraqi Jewish community formed a homogeneous group and was able to maintain communal identity, culture, and tradition throughout the centuries. What did I just read? Was able to do what? Maintain communal identity, culture, and tradition throughout the centuries. All despite multiple conquests, political upheaval, war, and plagues. They were distinguished from their Iraqi brethren by their old Arabic dialect called what? Judeo-Arabic. Didn't I say that earlier? Which is what? Replete with biblical Hebrew, biblical references, and words from Persian, Turkish, and Aramaic. They were set apart by their dress, their observation of Shabbat, holy days, and kashrut. their unique cuisine, and among many other things, a deep yearning for their spiritual Jerusalem and Zion. They purchased land and established yeshivot, religious houses of study in Jerusalem and Hebron. Their social and religious life was based upon Talmudic and biblical rites, and they led an independent communal life headed by the chief rabbi, who oversaw the community's educational system, religious court, and tax imposed upon kosher meat. Did Garfield make this up?